questions that we get asked through support, as well as the different various settings to set up media checkouts for your center. We'll also go over media types versus media items and what those do, as well as like a live example with instructions on how you would check in or check out media. And then we'll go over the media history and reports for that. So some common questions that we have, first of all, is like, where do you enable these? So they are actually easily enabled through the control panel. So if you have administrator access to the control panel, there's a media checkout section. So we'll see those settings. Who can check out materials? So you do have to have a system admin role with a media item administrator permission enabled. So we'll look at that in a second in the system. And how do the students know when to return items? That's another question. So there's two ways really. So one is actually on the home page when they first log into the software. You can have a widget enabled for media items, so it'll let them know right there when they log in what needs to be returned if they have something loaned out. Also, there's various email templates that we'll see that you can actually set up these reminders. So we'll go into more details in a second here, but those are some common questions. I just want to throw those out there. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and add them to the chat, and we'll take a look at those after I'm done presenting. All right, and first things first, we have to go ahead and get these things enabled. So where are you going to do that? You're going to do that under Administration Control Panel, Media Checkout. And it's a simple checkbox to disable, or if you leave it unchecked, enable that setting. Additionally, to create those email templates, it's also going to be under Administration, Control Panel, and Email Templates. We have two types of templates that you can customize. There's a late media reminder, as well as like a media check-in, just to let them know, like, hey, we've got your check-in, it's been received or whatever. So they kind of get both, so that they can get those back to you. And I'm going to jump over to Accudemia just to kind of check those out. So here I have my demo account. So first things first, we're going to go into Administration, Control Panel, and we're going to go ahead and enable this. So if you don't have this option, you may want to check with your main admin to give you this option. You will have to have that media item administrator role to see this. When I select it, there's the option right there to disable media checkouts if we decided we didn't want to use that feature. Also, I can control reminders from here, like how often these would go out, how many days, and then how many times that we would send that after that. So you can basically, kind of control the settings and the frequency on when that is. Oh, and then additionally, while we're still in the control panel here, we want to check out those email templates. So what I can do, if you've never set up an email template, this section is going to be blank when you first come in here. So I've actually customized a lot of the messaging in here. Another thing to note is that if you're not setting these up, Accudemia will still send out messages. It just will use the default template in the system. So if those settings are enabled to send out messages, then they're still going to be sent out. It's just going to use our template. So you do want to definitely go in there and customize it so that it becomes more personalized for your center. So I'm going to go ahead and do a new template here. And if you look in here, it should be alphabetized. So kind of if we get down to the M for like media here. So we have like a media check-in reminder and media check-in confirmation, media checkout confirmation. And actually, so yeah, I guess we have these. I think these ones are new, the confirmations, but the reminders, those we've had those in there for the media. And there's also a late media reminder. So actually there's really 4. I think these 2 were added. And you can, just like any email template, if I pull up like late media reminder, it'll start you off with what we would send on their behalf, but you can always personalize this per center. So each center can have a different messaging. You can change who it's coming from. So if you wanted to put the center's name, so if I was doing this for, let's say my reading center loans out materials like books and things, so I could basically say reading center, but I got to be able to type. And then if I want a different email, the default's just going to be this no reply at accudemia.net. Basically, if anybody replies to that, it just lets them know that it's like an unmonitored email. So if I replace that, I could change the way that the subject line goes out or anything about the message. And you can see you have a lot of merge fields here. So there are some specific media ones. So if you're not sure, like let's say you deleted all of these by accident, you could actually click this media info and see that I have name and type. Like those are 2 different media things. There's also checkout info. So like the due dates and other times like the current time or date. So, and of course the preview at the bottom. So if as long as everything looks good in the preview, you would just go ahead and save that at the top. And then you've customized that. And then you just kind of repeat that process for each of those 4 templates that we have. Okay. So now we're going to go into media types versus media items. And if you look at the types, it's kind of like a category of the different items that you have. So I have things like books versus technology versus like maybe DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever that we loan out. You might have calculators or something like that. And we're going to find this under centers, media checkout, and media items, both these things that we can create. And more for the media items, you're going to have the specific SKU. This could be the ISBN number that's on all books. You can scan that, or it could be something made up, like maybe you just start numbering your calculators and you create a barcode that corresponds with that. This can work with like barcode readers if you have any of those in there. And you can basically assign these types to each one of the media items. So you can see how I have books. So this will just help me filter on a report, different things that I'm loaning out if I'm not interested in knowing like calculators right now and I only want to see my books or something like that. And you can also see the center that these belong to are recorded there. So let's go ahead and create us some media types and media items. So going back to the system, we're going to go under centers, media checkout, and media items. So before we do the items, I'm going to go ahead and manage the media types up here in the top right. Okay, so I've got a few here. If I needed to add a new one, I could go ahead and just hit new in the top. And let's see, what else might I loan out? Let's say beach balls. Like maybe we have like, a volleyball court or something. They want to play with the beach ball. So I can choose a time period. So maybe for this, we want to make sure we get them back. So we're going to rent these out for like an hour at a time. And so in here, the next setting that I could do is when they all have to be returned by. So this is more like if it's at like the end of the semester and you want to have like a date set for all this type of media that you're loaning out. What's good about this checkout period is whenever I assign a media item to that, is it's defaulting to this 1 hour checkout period. You can change it on like an individual media item basis, but it will work with this media type as kind of like the default timeline. So I can go ahead and save that. And now you see I have the beach ball category or type in here. So now to get back there, that was media checkout, media items. And now you can see the different types here. with the items, I mean. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new item by just doing the new item once I'm back. Normally at this point, if I had like a barcode scanner, I would go ahead and let me see, I might actually have one. So just something like this that I can scan media in with, you just plug that in and grab like a book or something like that and scan it. I'm not going to do it, but you guys get the idea. So that's right where it says ID is where you're going to put either whatever you're scanning, or in this case, like my beach balls, we're just going to number them. So I'm going to put a Sharpie on there and we're going to call this beach ball number 1. All right. So title, we could even have the same title if I wanted. But just keep in mind the ID would be great for if you're scanning. And we're going to go ahead and make sure to assign it to that type. If I have any notes, maybe this one has a hole in it, it's deflated, so I want to inactivate it. So I could do things like that. And you're going to see that it defaulted to the 1 hour checkout period, but maybe, this one's special and we use this for like competition beach ball parties or something. So I want to put this as a 2 hour. So I can make that change and save it. I could also associate it with like a shelf, like if they're kept on a certain shelf, or an instructor for that matter. So save that. Okay, and you're going to see that it is in this location that I work in. And I could filter by the type and see only my beach balls that I've entered. So there we go. We got something, and now that can be checked out. So this is just the basic process, and seems silly to have this slide, but basically you're gonna go ahead and scan the student first when they're checking something out, and then scan the media items, and then in the returns, when you go to returns here, you're gonna just scan the media item, and it should actually put a summary below what's happening. So let's check that out in action. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and check this out. And to get to that, I'm gonna go to, again, centers, media checkout, check in, check out items. So it defaults to the checkout, so I'm ready for the student. So if I had an ID reader, or, I could just ask them their ID and then put it in. So you can see it pulls up the student with their ID number, shows me a photo too, just to make sure. And then I could go ahead and scan the ID. So remember, I just had made up an ID for these, so I'm going to say go. And as long as I knew what the ID number was, I could go ahead and type it in, or, scan it in. And it's going to default to the current computer. You can't see my computer's date and time, but trust me, that's the date and time that we have. And literally at this point, now that I've scanned the student and the item, we're going to check them out. It just wants to confirm. Yep. Okay, so we're done. Now returning that item is just a lot simpler. We just scan the item or type in the code from it. Okay, and it's been successfully returned. And you do see that I get a little summary below of what items have been returned. So if, let's say I had a line of returns or a line of checkouts, these would actually build this list until I leave this screen or refresh. Okay, actually it's staying there. So I think it does eventually go away though. So. All right, and finally, like what you're gonna get from all this is the reports. So there's two different ways. So there's a actual history if I just want to view it, of like how often things were checked out, and I can look up specific things using the filters on the left. And I didn't really mention a lot about those filters, but I'll show you those in the next section. And then we can also just pull actual media item reports. So if I needed like a check of like the stock that I have in currently, I could pull a media items report. If I need to see who still has materials out when it's like about the end of the semester, I could pull a late media report, or just check out the history of the usage and see like maybe, if there's certain things that we need to remove, maybe nobody's really using them anyway. So let's go back to Accudemia. And so for the first one, it's going to be kind of similar. We're going to go to Centers, Media Checkout, and History. So you can kind of see each center could have a different history depending on if they loan out materials or not. So we could check, each center. I've used it primarily in this center, so I'm going to leave it here. But you can see that last one that we just checked out today in the list of histories. But if I needed to, like let's say it had been like many days ago, I could either look by media item. So that means I could type uh, what it is, or if I see it in the list, that just was lucky. But I could type in whatever the code or name, so you can use either name or code. And that way, if I'm looking for like the title of a book or something like that, maybe I don't know the code. And I could also filter it by the types. So like, we have War and Peace here, and that's been checked out a lot. So that's one way. And then, if I want more of a formal report, then we're going to go to data analytics and reports. And for me, the easiest is just to type in what I'm looking for. So I do like media, and I get my 3 media reports right there. So the keyword search is really helpful, but it's actually under centers and media reports. Yeah. And, I can pull one of these. So let's say I wanted all my media stock to see like what I have. Maybe I wanted to know what locations are using it, so I don't filter any location. And maybe I only want to know like a certain media type, so who has books, for instance. And I could even choose to include inactive media. That could be stuff that was removed from your catalog. So it's up to you. You choose your report format, whether it's PDF, Excel, whatever. And you may want Excel, because like maybe you're gonna do some analysis with it. But I'm just gonna run the basic PDF report here. Oh, and it came on the other screen. But so we can look and see. Okay, so for media items, okay, I guess I only have it in the Skills and Tutoring Center. But we got like a couple different books, and there's like maybe 3 of the same book and 2 of that book. So we could see how many days that they were checked out for, and if they're still active or not, and if they're actually in the center or not. So pretty cool. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And I would just run the same thing, depending on what I'm curious about, like if we have late media that needs to be returned or anything like that. So yep. Thanks, guys. Do I have any questions or anything?
Yes, it did look like we had a question from Danny. She asks, I noticed that you included spaces in the ID for the beach ball, but in the media checkout screen, it doesn't allow spaces in the ID. So how would that work?
I mean, it did actually. I copied. So yeah, I think it's okay to have spaces. I don't recommend it personally. I was just being a little silly, but I think it did accept it as long as I copied the ID exactly. Because see, if you look, I made the ID exactly the same as the title. So for me, but what I would probably have done if I was probably a little smarter about when I set this up is I probably would just let's say I created some sort of code. So I do like BB001. Like let's say I don't think I'm gonna have over 100 of these to check out. So I kind of come up with my own coding, and then that way, when I get to that other screen, without having to guess, so like we can check it out again. So if I go back up, centers, media checkout, check in, check out. So this time we're gonna use a different student maybe. Okay, so I've got Bruce, and he's going to check out one of the beach balls. And if you remember, I did BB-001. It's not case sensitive, by the way, even if I put it in all caps too. So as long as I have that ID, it should come right up. But it did accept it I know I went quick through that, so but it did accept it when it had spaces, which is kind of weird, but yeah, it's not common though, honestly. I think it was just my creating it that
Yeah.
was uncommon.
So
Yeah,
best practice would be no spaces. That makes sense.
yeah,
Um, let's see. Danny says, thank you. Ours doesn't allow us to type a space on the checkout screen. So yeah, good to keep in mind. I'm not sure what the difference is there, but
yeah. And I'm not sure. We could always like meet with them if they wanted to kind of troubleshoot that further too. So.